Canada, our home, our pride. But today, millions of families are sinking under layers of taxes, sky-high housing costs, and debt they can't escape. This isn't fear-mongering, this is your reality. Stay with me, because this truth demands attention. Section 1. The tax burden that keeps growing. Canada's tax burden has quietly crept into the lives of every family, with the average Canadian family earning $114,289 in 2024, yet paying $48,306 in total taxes, meaning over 42% of their income vanishes before they can spend it, Fraser Institute. This staggering figure isn't just about income taxes. It represents a broad tapestry of levies: sales, property, fuel, carbon, liquor, corporate passed-down costs, and more. When we zoom out, the trend becomes alarming. Since 1961, the tax hit on families has grown an astounding 2,784%, far eclipsing the rise in costs for food, clothing, or housing. Fraser Institute. What once may have seemed modest has become overwhelming. Every decade ratchets it higher without matching gains in wages or affordability. Even recent reforms barely scratch the surface. The federal government's slight reduction from 15% to 14.5% for the bottom bracket helps some, but higher earners still face progressive rates that climb steeply: 20.5%, 26%, 29%, up to 33%. Add provincial taxes, anywhere from 5% in some provinces to nearly 25% in Quebec, and many Canadians net less than they expect when payday arrives. By global comparison, Canada's tax wedge, factoring in payroll taxes and benefits, sits at 31.9%, compared to just 29.9% in the US, despite both offering extensive public services. In essence, Canadians pay more, yet don't necessarily receive more in economic mobility or financial breathing room. All of this frames an uncomfortable truth. Taxes have become a simmering pressure, undermining disposable income and financial freedom, especially for middle-class families, long before they ever see their paychecks. Section 2. Housing. From unrealistic dream to financial trap, housing used to be the hallmark of financial security. Now it's one of our most crushing burdens. By 2022, the average Canadian home cost over 9 times median household income, making it one of the least affordable housing markets in the world. Even more sobering, in 2023, the Bank of Canada declared housing affordability at its lowest since 1982. For low-income households, the strain is even more glaring. About 31% of their disposable income goes to mortgage payments, and 36% to rent, both well above OECD averages. Over 35% of these households are cost-overburdened, spending more than 40% of their income just to house themselves. Although home prices dipped modestly in mid-2025, with some regions seeing a 3 to 4% decline year over year, the national average remains high at roughly $698,000, or slightly lower depending on data source. $691K, $698K. Even these moderate dips haven't translated into meaningful gains in affordability, especially with wages stagnant and debt rising. Forecasts remain uncertain. Some experts predict a 2% decline in prices through 2025, with stagnation into 2026, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. But without major reforms, like boosting affordable supply, easing regulations, or supporting first-time buyers, these small reductions won't shift the affordability landscape. Housing isn't just an expense, it's a barrier. For many, it prevents building wealth, forming families, and contributing fully to the economy. It's a structural challenge crying out for solutions. Section 3. Debt. a mounting pressure on families. Behind the front door, debt is building silently and dangerously. As of Q1 2025, Canadian households carried $3.07 trillion in credit market debt, and that number grew faster than income, pushing the debt-to-disposable income ratio to 173.9%, meaning $1,074 of debt for every $1 earned. On top of that, households devoted 14.4% of their disposable income to servicing this debt, paying interest and principal. While borrowing has slowed slightly, Q1 2025 saw 34.5 billion in new borrowing, down from 41.6 billion in Q4 2024. The burden hasn't lightened. Savings are evaporating. The national household saving rate dropped to just 5.7% as consumption outpaced income growth, leaving families with little to buffer future shocks. Young households, those under 35, are especially stretched. Many are reducing existing mortgage debt, down 3.4% YOY, not because of eased conditions, but because they're priced out of acquiring new homes altogether. Meanwhile, older adults are accruing more mortgage debt for investment, family support, or upgrading homes. Debt isn't just a number, it's a weight on Canadian families' future. With limited savings, mounting repayments, and rising costs, the financial scaffolding is weakening and cracks are showing everywhere. Section 4. Inequality and a precarious middle class. Economic strain isn't shared equally. True poverty in Canada touches about 25% of Canadians, far higher than official numbers suggest, using broader measures. 1 in 4 Canadians, including 30% of young adults, 44.5% of single-parent families, and 42% of renters, struggle just to meet basic needs. Meanwhile, wealth is concentrated at the top. The richest 20% hold 64.7% of national net worth, around $3.3 million per household, while the bottom 40% hold just 3.3%, about $85,700 per household. That gap expanded to 61.4 percentage points in Q1. 2025, younger households remain in financial limbo, decreasing wealth gains, declining homes, and mounting cost pressures. Homes dropped in value, leaving gains from financial assets offset by housing losses. Older households, by comparison, are seeing stronger asset growth and stability. What this means is clear. Canada's middle class is under siege. Social and economic mobility are stalling. Without policy shifts to spread opportunity, the gap will only widen and the social fabric will show more strain. Section 5. The colliding crisis and a call to act. When we pull it all together, the picture is stark. Canadians are facing a full-blown financial squeeze. High taxes consuming nearly half of income, unaffordable housing locking out generations, debt piling up beyond rational levels, and inequality growing ever sharper. The components of the crisis feed on each other, and no single policy fix will resolve it. Thankfully, solutions exist, but they require scale and political will. We need tax reform that eases burdens on working families while closing loopholes and ensuring equity. We need massive investments in housing supply, especially affordable units. Millions of new homes are needed to bring markets back into balance. We need responsible debt relief and savings support, especially for younger Canadians, to break the debt spiral. Canada's financial institutions are alert. The Bank of Canada has flagged vulnerabilities, especially amid high debt and global uncertainty. It urges vigilance and proactive coordination between government and lenders, but policy must catch up with reality. Real people are stretched, and public pressure is essential. This isn't a doom and gloom report, it's a wake-up call. The data is clear. The struggle is real. And if enough of us demand change and vote accordingly, it's within our power to chart a different economic future for Canada. This video isn't just numbers, it's your life, your family, your future. If you're feeling the pressure, you're not alone. Share this video to make your voice heard. Subscribe and tell us in the comments which issue weighs most on you and what change will you demand from our leaders. Together we can shape a fairer, more affordable Canada.